come, nobody is talking about the fact that the media is using an AI Trump and passing it off as if it's a real guy. The media is literally duping the public with an artificial Donald Trump. Meanwhile, nobody seems to notice. I'm one of the only guys on the internet who's going to call this out, that the media is using an AI Trump, a CGI Trump, and they're passing it off as the President of the United States. Now, I hope you know this already. I hope this is not new information for you, but the government controls the media. The media is just another branch of the government. So basically, the government is parading a artificial president in front of your face, and nobody is talking about this. I find this extremely crazy that I live in a world where nobody's really talking about the fact that the President of the United States is artificial intelligence. I don't know if you guys have noticed this yet, but they are using AI Donald Trumps to give speeches on television.
Charlie inspired millions, and tonight all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America.
There is a clear example of Trump being AI right after his good buddy Charlie supposedly kicked the bucket in that incident that everybody's talking about. We see an AI Trump giving a speech, and they aren't coming out and saying, oh, this is an AI Trump, just so you guys know. No, they're not giving us a warning ahead of time. They aren't warning the public ahead of time that they're about to see an artificial Donald Trump. No. So they show us an AI Trump giving a speech about how sad he is about his buddy Charlie kicking the bucket in that incident that everybody's talking about. And nobody's like, hey, this is clearly AI. So how can we even trust anything that happened in that Kirk incident if they're using an AI Trump right now? Nobody making that connection except for me? Am I the only one that's going to connect the dots that if they're using an artificial Donald Trump on screen, then of course you can't trust anything that you saw on a television screen or on a computer screen as pertains to that Kirk event? So if you haven't figured it out yet, this is not some conspiracy theory. This is an actual fact that the media is using an AI Trump. In fact, here is the clip, and it's blatantly obvious that they're using an AI Trump. You can see his hand glitch. Slow it down frame by frame. You will see Trump's pinky suddenly just disappear. So there's these anomalies and glitches which make it blatantly obvious that the government is using an AI Trump. They're passing off an AI Trump through the use of the mainstream media to the public and straight up duping the public, lying to the public. And the public doesn't seem to notice. And the few who notice, they think it was just this one time that Trump used AI. They think Trump and his team just used AI this one time to give this one speech. In fact, I see channels doing damage control, saying, oh, yeah, they definitely used an AI Trump, but it was because he has some health condition. It must be because Trump is so busy. He's got all this other stuff he needs to do. So they just did an AI speech to save time. Yeah, Trump didn't have time to give an actual speech about his buddy Charlie kicking the bucket. No. So instead, they just had an AI Trump address the nation about the whole Kirk thing. Really? No, it's not just a one-off event. They've been using AI Trumps on several occasions. In fact, This isn't the first AI president that we've ever had. The last president, remember Creepy Joe? They were using body doubles and imposters and AI and CGI Joes on screen.
All of a sudden, people said, whoa, I didn't know that's where I got that from. And look what we did. We won back 41 seats, Republican seats. All of a sudden, people said, whoa, I didn't know that's where I got that from. And look what we did. We won back 41 seats, Republican seats in purple and red areas. Because people, see, you didn't hear any Republicans out there saying, I'm going to take away your pre-existing condition coverage.
So this is not my first rodeo. This is not the first time I've called out a president for giving an AI speech. In fact, I was making content about Joe Biden being replaced and that they were using AI and CGI Joe Bidens. And I was treated like some cuckoo, crazy conspiracy theorist. People would hand wave, oh, no, Joe Biden never got replaced. Oh, that's crazy to think that they're using AI Joe Bidens. No, he's just old and has dementia. Those were the excuses people would give when I would bring up the fact that Joe Biden was giving speeches and it wasn't even a real guy. So now we got Trump in his second term sounding an awful lot like Joe Biden, not making sense. Have you noticed Trump will be talking and he'll say a sentence and then he'll say another sentence and another sentence, but the sentences don't correlate to each other? He's starting to sound an awful lot like Creepy Joe used to sound when he was president. And so here you have an AI Donald Trump, and they're making it blatantly obvious. They're showing you the glitches. They're showing you the anomalies. It's almost like the government is slapping us in the face with an AI Trump, just like they slapped us in the face with an AI Biden. It's almost like they want to see who is paying attention. And guess what? Nobody's really paying attention. You got one guy who's going to make a video about this? How come there aren't thousands of YouTubers freaking out right now about this? How come there aren't millions of people freaking out right now about this? There should be. There should be millions of people freaking out over the fact that the guy they voted for ain't a real guy. Yeah, that's a pretty tough pill to swallow when you find out that the guy that you voted for isn't a real guy. So imagine if you vote for Donald Trump and then you see on screen what looks like an AI version of Donald Trump. Are you going to say, oh, he must be too busy to give a speech. He must have a health condition, so he had his team fire up an AI version of himself to give this speech so that he wouldn't have to spend the time giving an actual speech? Is that the excuse you're going to make? Because the truth is we have a tyrannical, runaway government who's using an artificial president to dupe the public. That's the truth. It's a tough pill to swallow. Many will refuse to swallow that truth pill. But that's what's happening. We have a runaway, tyrannical government who is in charge, and they're using an artificial president on our television screens, on our computer screens, on our phone screens, to dupe us into thinking that that guy is making decisions. There ain't a guy named Trump making any decisions. There isn't a guy named Trump who has any power whatsoever. Think about that. There is no Donald Trump as far as an actual human being who is the president is concerned. Think about that. So what does that tell you about the position of President of the United States? What it tells me is there is no President of the United States, only a tyrannical government. Yeah, the position of President of the United States is basically a fictional job. If they're using an artificial Donald Trump on screen and he's the president, well, then that means there isn't a president. And the job of president is basically meaningless at this point. Once you figure out the president is artificial, then what is it that people are voting for? If you haven't figured out that your vote doesn't count already, then you probably aren't going to want to swallow this truth pill. Yeah, your vote never counted. And if you did vote, you may have voted for the artificial president. Now, when I say anything negative about Trump, any nearby Trump supporter, in fact, 99.99999% of all Trump supporters will probably assume that I must be some sort of liberal. I must have voted for Kamala, right? No, I was calling out Joe Biden as being replaced. I was calling out Joe Biden as giving AI speeches. They were using an AI version of Joe Biden. I was one of the few people on the internet calling it out and making content about it. I'm getting sick of being treated like a crazy conspiracy theorist when I'm one of the only guys on this platform telling the real truth. So again, who's in control here? It definitely is not Trump making any major decisions about this country and how to run this country. Oh no. So who is making the decisions on how this country is ran? Who's really in charge? Who's at the tippity top of the pyramid? That's what I would like to know. Now, there's a whole lot of conspiracy theories being pushed, especially with this latest Kirk incident that happened. You got people more interested in all these crazy conspiracy theories as pertains to this Kirk incident. Meanwhile, the truth is that was nothing but staged political theater. Nothing but a theatrical performance on the world stage. And then just afterward, you get an artificial Donald Trump giving a speech about his good buddy Charlie, who they want you to believe kicked the bucket. So there's all sorts of misinformation and disinformation associated with that story. And they got millions of people wrapped up in this Kirk incident, which again was nothing but political theater. Meanwhile, you have an artificial Donald Trump and nobody notices. Very few people talking about it. And the channels that are mentioning it are doing damage control and saying Trump and his team put out an AI version of Trump for this one speech about Charlie. Yeah, I'm not buying that at all. In fact, there's numerous examples of AI Trump being used to dupe the public. And the public is indeed being duped. Are people going to wake up and realize that the tyrannical, out-of-control government is the one making the decisions? That they're the ones pulling the strings? I don't think so. Personally, I think humanity is absolutely screwed. I'm not trying to be Mr. Doom and Gloom here, but it's hard to have faith in a population that can't see the obvious AI Trump or the obvious Joe Biden that was also AI. No. So you have millions of people who voted for this character, and they can't even see that this character isn't even a real guy. So to be one of the only humans in the entire world who's talking about this, one of the only men who exists who's making content about this, wow. Think of how hard it is for me to live within this body knowing I'm one of the only people, a fraction of people who exist, who's even noticing and talking about this. You have shills doing damage control, trying to cover up this blatant fact that they're using an artificial Donald Trump. The Jimmy Dore show, for instance, has over 1 million subscribers, an audience way bigger than mine, and they're acting like it was just this one speech that was AI, and it was because Trump had a health issue, because Trump had a stroke. When are people going to wake up? They've had this artificial intelligence technology for a long, long time, and they just recently let us regular citizens use it. The government has had the AI technology for God knows how long, and they've been playing with it and using it for a long time for their benefit. And so the version that they give us, the dumbed down, castrated version of AI that they give us to use, yeah, imagine what version they're using right now. Imagine what sort of AI they're using right now. They had this technology many years before they let us low-level minions use their technology. So where's this technology really coming from? Who's building this technology? Are we really to believe that humans are coming up with this technology themselves? What's really going on here? So my conclusion is that the government is making it as blatantly obvious as possible that that Kirk incident was a scripted theatrical performance. And they're making it as blatantly obvious as possible that Donald Trump is now AI. As far as the guy you see on screen, you can just assume that it's AI pretty much every time. How can you ever trust anything that ever comes out of that guy's mouth once you figure out that they're using an AI Trump? So they're purposely leaving in the anomalies, purposely leaving in the glitches to let you know it's AI. They gotta have the technology to make a clean AI version of Trump. They gotta realize that he's glitching. They have to realize that there is these anomalies that we are going to see, at least some of us. So it seems to me they're purposely showing us the anomalies. They're purposely showing us the glitches. They want us to know that they're using an AI Trump. Why do they want us to know? Perhaps they're testing the public to see how dumbed down people really are before they make their next move. So they can throw AI Trump right in our faces. Slap us in the face with AI Trump just to see who's paying attention. And you know who's paying attention? Basically nobody. People are either A, not paying attention and don't notice at all, or the ones who notice, they don't even care. People care more about which fake phony football team is going to win the next fake phony scripted football game. People care more about their fake phony scripted sports than they do the fact that there's an artificial president being puppeteered by a out of control tyrannical government. Now, I ain't trying to get all doom and gloom on you. I'm just here to give you the facts. I'm just here to give you the truth as far as I know it. And with that said, that's about all I got for you today. That might be all you can probably handle for today. In fact, that's about all I can handle for today. So if this content resonates with you and you've made it this far in the video, consider giving me a thumbs up. It does help, and I really would appreciate it. And I want to thank all of you for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.